نقدم عرض تقديمي بعنوان الشراكات في الرقمنة من منظور العمليات التشغيلية. الأستاذة فيكي كو، الرئيس التنفيذي في شركة فيزيولوك آسيا.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer and host of this conference, the Ministry of Transport and Logistics Services, for having me here today to speak to you about digitization. So a bit of introduction about myself. I was introduced in the program as the CEO for Visalog Asia Limited, which is a company that offers digitalization services to enterprise. And I'm also the on-secretary for CILT International, and I was the immediate past global chairperson for WILAT. Okay, WILAT meaning Women in Logistics and Transport. And at the same time, I'm also very much engaged in other supply chain organizations. So one of them is ASCM. I'm the master instructor for one of their models, and I also help them to train instructors to deliver those modules. And I'm also an adjunct professor in supply chain management in Macau University of Science and Technologies. So before we talk about digitization, I would like to let you know a bit of my experience on the digital footprint. I have been very involved in a number of projects. Those companies in the logos that you may recognize some of them, the Hong Kong airport authorities, which I will bring a business case to share with you as well today. Some of the other transport operators, cargo owners, the logistics companies that would require visibility along their supply chain. Some of them are consultation services for outerwear. That gives me a wealth of experience about different companies' digitization, which is what I'm being asked to talk about today is the partnerships in digitization from a process perspective. So in all of my years, nearly 30 years of experience in supply chain management, actually it's all about process. What is the as-is process, and then how do we want to introduce changes to improve it, and what should be the to-be process? But when we talk about business process, we ought to think about different stakeholders that will react to the to-be process because they don't often want to walk out from their comfort zones of how they usually work. So I have generally categorized them into three types of partners in any of those process projects. Transformation. In the bigger picture is about the ecosystem collaborators, which we have to leverage their wisdom, their research work, and maybe they would set up some framework and standards for us to follow. And also as an external partners, in my work of helping other enterprises, I have often played the external partners role to introduce different technologies, help them to evaluate, and give them the advices what may suit the best. But the most time-consuming and difficult part of the partners actually are the internal partners. The internal stakeholders within the companies are often the most difficult group of people to be convinced to think about what they can do better. And for every successful project transformation cases, we have all started with the C-suites, the executive leadership team. Because from the very top of the organization, if you do not set the goal and explain what we're trying to achieve with digitization, is meant to be failed. And that has been proven in many of the projects. If a company, the CEO said, hey, I want my products to be RFID enabled. And we came across some of those cases. And after a process review with them, we have given them enough reasons why they should not go for the digitization or the RFID projects, because it doesn't help their business process, and their end users may not be ready for it. So the C-suite mandate is very important. It has to be clear, and it has to be with a business objective for it to be successful. And then secondly, we have to engage the IT and the digital transformation teams in your company. You may not readily have a transformation team at the moment, but if you look into the organization, look for a champion who has the mind to try to make the business better for the organization, that may be a very good transformation agent for you to tap onto. But the IT input is a critical piece, because most of the time we regard digitization projects as IT projects, which I personally would say is very wrong to assume that, because digitization project actually is a process project, and IT people needs to support it to make it work for all of us. And then it comes to the operations and process owners. They are the group of people who hold tight to the current process. They have all the wisdoms that you need to make changes and make it better. But how can you make them tell you about that as the key? So facilitation skills comes very important to this partners. We have to have a way to communicate and facilitate their thoughts and speak their minds. And don't forget about the finance compliance, because finance and accounting has most of the data you will need. And at the end, the employees and the end users are the ultimate partners that you want to engage, because they should be the ones who have benefit from your digitization. And the external partners usually give you the technology advisors. They provide the expertise that you may not have, because technology is advancing so fast. You do need to have a dedicated group of people to tell you and help you to assess what may be the best for you to use. Is it RFID? Is it telematics? Is it the satellite or the Bluetooth technologies to suit the environment? And considering the scalability and sustainability of the way that you want to digitize. And that sometimes comes from consulting firms as well. But the industry associations and standard bodies are very important too, because we need to validate the compliance and your understanding about certain technologies. If you are not associated to any of the compliance institutes, then you may be missing something very important, okay? And the last is the regulators and government agents, which really defines, for example, if you're deploying an RF radio frequency-based technologies, how can you avoid the interference with the mobile phone frequencies? Or how can you ensure the satellite networks is really in compliance of where you want to operate? And in the ecosystem, nowadays we have a lot of small startups. The startup companies have a different kind of wisdom, have a fresh pair of eyes looking into the environment and the technologies that may be more suitable for you, and we leverage them to become innovative. And the clients and the customers, as I have mentioned, they are the ultimate people that you need to convince them to come on board with the digitization, and they have the experience with what you have bring upon to them. They will give you feedback. They will tell you, well, this is a great platform, or there is something else you want to improve upon. So categorizing your partners may be a very boring subject. And I try to bring in 2 business cases that may help you to better understand why do we need partnerships, okay? I have been very involved in one of the ground surface equipment pooling scheme for an airport operations. This scheme is so innovative, which started 10 years ago. The airport authorities decided, well, they need to understand how the operators operate and how can they reduce carbon emissions in the airside in the airport. And then it took them 4 years of time to talk to different stakeholders, all the operators, and come up with a scheme which is called pooling, okay? By pooling, it means sharing the equipment that you need to operate the aircraft arrival and departure, and at the same time to reduce the capital investment on hardwares, reduce the mileage, reduce the carbon emissions. And they have finally started, after 4 years of investigation and communications with the equipment owners, because they literally have to take over the operator's equipment and then make it to put them in a pool, just like when you take Uber. You don't own the car, but you are using the car of some other people's ownership. And very importantly, they need to have digital platform, a management platform to support all of this operation. Because if you imagine the aircraft coming in and out, operating hundreds of flights per day, and you have a few thousands of GSEs running around the airport, nobody would be able to tell when we need to have what equipment to be ready. So this is the part that we have came into. As the technology provider, we have supported them with a system called XOps, which is now the leading GSE pooling system in many of the airport's operations. And that's the digitization. And at the end, the MRO, the companies will need to support and help maintaining them with an airport authority standard and expectation. Along the way, we have to get the regulators, including OFCA, who is managing all the radio frequencies regulations, IATA's endorsement, and also all the safety and risk management aspect to be considered in it. So as a passenger in the airport, how can we experience and has a feel of this digitization? So when you come to Hong Kong, and if you have a check-in baggage, there is a service pledge of guaranteeing you once the aircraft landed, within 15 minutes, 15 minutes, your baggage will be on the baggage belt for you to pick up. Do you need to use any apps on the mobile phone to trace it? No, you don't, because the confidence level through the scheme has given so much confidence to the passengers that your bag will be there on the belt for you. When you pass through the immigration, after the customs process, your baggage is there, okay? So at the end user, the best experience about digitization projects is you do not have to use any digital device to help you to look at anything, but you just have the confidence of receiving it as expected. And in other projects, that would tell you importantly how the partnership is making it a success as a transport operator who has been so manually operating hundreds of vehicles on a day-to-day basis. It's all manual, pen and paper work. People talk on the phone, give commands, and without leaving any trace of what has happened on the road and who has made what decisions, okay? So we were being invited to help them to do an assessment. As a technology provider, we have recommended a number of things, including a specially designed and developed device on board the vehicles, and also a control room system. OCCS means Operations Communication and Control System in their control room so that everything is visible on the screen. Whoever is communicating about the operation, making a decision, would leave a trace in the system for review, okay? And this project was mandated by the CEO of the company. It's a French company in Hong Kong. The boss has a great vision about digitizing, automating everything. But when it boiled down to the operation team, there is a lot of resistances. They don't want to go out of their manual process because they have a lot of freedom to make a lot of decisions without having the interference of the supervisor. And they enjoy that. But that is something in a digitization project, or more correctly to say digitalization project, needs to overcome, is to bring the visibility to the management. So it was a 2 years long negotiation with the traffic department, engineering department, their IT department, and also their HR department to ask them, well, why are you making decisions for a scenario and what is the wisdom in it? It takes us a lot of time to get to the understanding, but it's all worth it. Because by understanding them, then we can help them to design the OCCS system and make it work and sustain in the long run. The regulators also get involved because the device that we have developed for them requires RF emissions. And the EMSD department, the Transport and Logistics Bureau in Hong Kong, OFCA, they all have to come and inspect. So in order to fulfill their expectations, we do have to know a lot how to design within the frameworks that they have set out. And of course, the users are the drivers and the operation teams of the vehicles. They are all happy with it because the project has just been deployed. They are using it and they enjoy the visibility that they are having. But the most importantly is the general public who are using these transport services. They do not need to have any digital device to keep track of what the service level is up to. And it's all through the visual mechanism. If they just look on the road, they can expect when certain vehicles will be there to arrive at. So it helps, and we really treasure those wisdoms from the leadership teams to tell us, well, if we want to make it successful, try not to ask the passengers or the users to use any digital device, not even a mobile app. If you count on your mobile app, see how many apps you already have, and you do not want to have all of them on it. So until now, I would like to ask, how many of you make a distinction between digitization versus digitalizations? How many can make a difference? It all spelled almost the same, and in meetings, they thought it's the same. Okay, just automating things through some devices. But digitization actually is only automating your process. It doesn't translate anything into your business performance. Digitalization does, because once you digitize it, you have to see the benefit in your business and through the business performance. So next time, if I will be asked by the organizer to speak on digitization, I will go back to ask them, well, please let us talk about digitalization, because this is the real benefit that we want to understand. Digitization brings you the visibilities, but you do have to translate the visibility to performance and to improve your KPIs. The real-time operation efficiency often is the most prominent KPI that you want to establish, whether it's increase in accuracies, whether it's increase in better transport services. You can discuss and decide with your transformation team. And another very important issue is you want to be very agile to respond to the unexpected. So if you are operating a fleet which runs on the road, you want to know if there is a traffic jam, or there may be an accident, or maybe there is a car run into some mechanical problems. You want to know about that in advance and be preventive about it. But when it happens, at least you know it in the first instance. In Hong Kong, the airport authorities, they would expect any incidents through this digitization projects to be responded within 3 minutes, okay? And there were some incidents, it was responded in 4 minutes, and the operators is already have to write a long report to explain why the 4 minutes, but not 3, okay? But the sooner you get into the scenarios, the better. And digitization also helps us to get preventive maintenance, take it seriously. If you go to ask your transport operator, how serious are they in preventive maintenance? Many of them really don't. They are only responding when a car is broken down, when a truck is not running, but they don't care about how much carbon emissions they are generating through providing the service. So preventive maintenance through automation is one of the ways to help you to realize the importance of that. And also the driver behavior for safety. Many of the drivers may not notice the exhaust system that we deploy at the airport actually measure every driver's behavior. If they overspeed, if they go out of the zone that they are not allowed to, and if they are hard braking the car when they're in operations, it all goes into the record, a real-time record that every single driver can be reviewed on a regular basis. And also to reduce the carbon footprint, you must go for the digitalization, because you cannot measure how much carbon emission the fleet is emitting unless you can have a way to measure the mileage that they are running. And even you can manage to measure the mileage, you still have to measure what's the age of the equipment, whether it's running on diesel fuel, biofuels, or whatever. But then with all this digitized, at least you can set a benchmark to measure whether any of the equipment is running out of line for you. And as AI is now helping us to look into the future, because the device operator, the equipment operator is now also taking all of our data to look into how can they better design the next batch of the equipment for the airport for transport operator. Because by understanding the behavior of the driver, the carbon emission pattern, they can do something else to make our world greener. So those are all the very important takeaways that I have in my project experience. And one thing I think very important for you to recognize as well, in all of the projects, diversity and inclusion plays a very important part. Because if you have a single gender project team of people, is either too rigid or too loose. But if you have a more fluid gender diversity in the management team and in the project team, you will be able to get a better balance of everybody's interest and also include a wider populations of the needs of what to do and don't. So diversity and inclusion as a secret in your project success. So I will stop here. I hope I have bring some inspirations to all of you about digitization. I can be reached out by this email, and if you have any questions, please feel free to come and discuss. Thank you very much.